Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing how I did this very bright page, and I ended up doing it for the Freshen It Up Makers Creative Collab 2024 hosted by PM Artist Studios. So the reason I call it Freshen It Up is at the end of my live stream last week, I did this page for their color combo, which was pink, yellow, brown, and then you can use black and white and metallic. And brown is not really a color I reach for a lot, and I had done an image transfer and I used pan pastels. You can check out my live to see how I did that. So when you pull pan pastels off the jelly plate, you're left with some pan pastel on the plate. So I'll show here what I mean. And what I ended up doing was I pulled up that pan pastel as many times as I could. It worked best for the colors I had using the black. So I don't know if you can see those balloons also have the face in them. So I'm going to show how I did the pulls first to make the ghost prints, and then I'll show how I doodled on that and cut it out. And then this backing is just a brayer sheet, so that's freshening up the brayer sheet as well. And we're starting a new year, so it's always fun to start fresh. So I'm just wishing you a happy new year. And yeah, so keep watching and I'll show you how this page ended up happening. So here I'm showing that pan pastel that was left over, and it's still quite detailed, so I didn't want to waste that. So I decided to pull it up using some black Liquitex Basics. So that's the first pull, and I'm just braying that on. And then I'll pick it up just on a printer paper, a little bit, that nice thicker hammer mill one that I mentioned a few streams ago. And this is sped up, obviously, so a few minutes later it's dried and I pull it up, and I thought that was pretty good. You could see the image quite readily there. So technically this is called a ghost print. So there's still quite a bit of pan pastel left on the plate, so I thought let's try with some orange and some white. Now, the orange tone was too close to the skin tone that I had used, and the pinks and the flesh colored, so it doesn't actually show very well. The white part did show, you can see there that some of the pink pan pastel showed up pretty well, but really the orange section was a bust. But I want to keep this in here to show you that, you know, you need contrast if you want to have these things show up. So here I'm trying again with the black because there's still quite a bit of pan pastel left on. And the pan pastel is quite an opaque medium, so it works well for these ghost prints. And another pickup, again fast forwarding after it's dry. Here's another pull, and that one's pretty good too. Now I knew I wouldn't have a lot of uses for, you know, all of these, but we end up, you know, putting it together. Now I'm trying the golden fluid carbon black, and I'm still, you know, learning to use this one. It does dry pretty fast, so it started to pull up. So I just leave it as is, and I put the paper on while it's, you know, before it totally dries, and then that one pulls up pretty easily. There I didn't really cut out any drying time. It's a little bit sketchy though, so I thought, okay, let's try that again. So I use it just as a small brayer because I know I'm just going to put a section on, but again, it's already drying, so I add more to it and push it down. I let that dry, and then we're going to pull it up. So it's a learning process. You know, I don't have a lot of, you know, this is the first time I've been using the black carbon fluid, so I don't know if it just dries faster, but that's quite a good transfer. And then I decide, well, let's do it one more time. There's still quite a bit of pan pastel there. This time I just use more volume, and I don't try to thin it out as much. And it started to kind of disperse a bit, but it's still a pretty good print. So pulling it up, and the carbon black is interesting. It's quite shiny compared to the Liquitex Basics, and I'll show that again once it's dry. You'll see that a bit more. So it's not just because it's not wet, it's actually dry, it's just shinier. So still there's quite a bit of pan pastel left, so I thought, well, let's try with purple. I thought maybe that would be enough contrast, and really it wasn't. It just didn't, maybe if the purple was too thin, I'm not really sure, but it didn't really show up. I think there was probably enough left on there to make a good like a pickup. But I think it was just that the tones were too similar. There just wasn't enough contrast. You can still see there's quite a bit of pan pastel left there. I thought, let's try the matte medium, which is like unpigmented acrylic paint. And I used black cardstock to pick it up. So it did still, there was still some pan pastel there, and it did pick it up. But the matte medium did kind of make the black paper a little bit shiny in a way, so it didn't really show the contrast as much. So finally, I'm using that baby oil to clean off my plate completely. So these are the ghost prints that you saw me pull that worked the best. This one's the best one. This one was a bunch of smaller ones. You can see the carbon black paint is a lot shinier. That's this golden one versus this Liquitex matte. It's not matte, but it looks more matte in comparison. That's also what I used to pull this one. This was just with matte medium, but it really pushed it back a bit. Even though the matte medium is technically clear on the black paper, it did, you know, skirt a bit. I thought it might be fun to draw in some legs and cut her out and then make like a little scene with her. I thought it'd be fun to make her into a card, but I think she's going to be too big. So I'm going to just start doodling on here, and then we'll cut her out. And I think what I'm going to do is, it looks like she should be holding something. So I might just sort of cut these out into like balloons. She's maybe holding a bouquet of balloons of herself, which is would be interesting. I thought it might be fun to use these jelly rolls. So the pens I'm using are this orange, they're all jelly rolls. This orange one is a souffle pen. The white is just a jelly roll 08. The souffle, I don't think it has a specific size. And then the other three colors, the pink, the green, and sort of this tan color, they were all jelly roll moonlight. And all of these show quite well on the black paper. I did not use this blue one. This one works really well also, but I just felt like I already had enough colors going on. I'm going to use the original transfer as sort of a, as like my source. I'm not going to do her legs exactly the same. I'm going to start out with drawing in her skirt again. We want kind of like a nice sort of, I think, party skirt. Just kind of do like, I want to keep it just kind of like loose and sketchy. So I'm going to speed up the doodling and the sketching. You might notice that when I use the colored jelly rolls, they don't look as opaque initially, but then as they dry, they get more opaque, especially that orange souffle one. I think the souffle one you're meant to heat with a heat gun and it puffs up, but I didn't do that. I just let it dry naturally. And I put a few layers on some of the colors. I'm gonna go ahead and put some music on. Feel free to turn that down if you don't like listening to music. If I do start talking again, I'll put this rotating star on to let you know that there's something to listen to.
So high, I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.
So here's a peek of where we're at so far. You can see I didn't add any color to the face. I liked all the details that were there, and I decided to leave her face nice and subtle. And then next I'm going to prepare the balloon ladies using this die. This is actually a Stampin' Up die from an air balloon set. I don't think it's available anymore. I chose this background. It's just a brayer off sheet that I had, meaning that when I was jelly plating, I rolled off extra paint onto that black paper. And I thought the colors really matched the feeling of the cutout that we did here, this Alice Party Girl. And for the balloons, I'm just outlining them with the jelly roll pens so that they will be more visible and more fun, and they'll coordinate with the page. And add a little balloon reflection. So I cut down the background page just a little bit, and I'm adding some double-sided tape to stick it down into my journal. And I'm just auditioning the elements, trying to decide where I'm going to put them. And I'm using some Aleene's tacky glue to glue this down because the background does have acrylic paint on it, so a glue stick won't hold it. So I'm using the Aleene's tacky glue, put it on the back surface of that, and then I'm going to use a glue stick to spread the glue and flatten it so I won't have like bumps and ridges. And I repeat that with the balloons. I do decide to switch them up a bit just based on the colors, and I draw where I foresee the string going from the balloons just so that I glue them in the right spot. Same process, the Aleene's tacky glue and then the glue stick to spread it out. Adjusting here and there. And I use my white jelly roll pen to make the strings, and it's just freehanding. I'm not using a ruler, and I'm tying a little bow, a virtual bow. So that's the highlight of the string, and then I use a black pit pen to make sort of the shadow, the shaded side of the string. It also helps it stand out from the background as well. So I'm just playing around. I added some doodles to the border. I'm adding a bit more of that orange to her hair. I'm going to add some colors to the doodles, and I'm going to add some text saying Happy New Year, and we'll add a little bit of a highlight onto the Happy New Year and a bit more color on the border. I've always loved doodling, and even in school I always doodled when teacher was talking. I'd be making doodles. I don't know about you guys, but this was just really fun for me to make, and I'm going to show you the finished piece in just a second. So thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed this Freshen It Up, and it's an open collaboration, so if you decide to do a video or post on Instagram or Facebook, you can hashtag Makers Creative Collab 2024. You can hashtag Freshen It Up. And if you want to join their Facebook group, there's lots of fun to be had over there. I'll link their Facebook group below in the description. And yeah, so I had lots of fun doing that. So it's a fun way to play after my live stream. So I will live stream this coming Wednesday. Hope to see you there. Thanks for watching.